Immediately with the BJ Blazkowicz, which we will see a lot in Sacrifice. He's not particularly popular in Duel, with the exception of maybe Corrupted Keep. On this game mode specifically, though, you will see BJ picked very often.
Now, I actually think that's quite a nice diversity, because we basically never saw him yesterday. But Blazkowicz, you pick him for that role of he is good at just shredding down champions. He pops the dual wield and he just deletes them from existence. In a game mode like Sacrifice, where you can defend with him, you can attack with him, he's a very versatile champion in that regard. And all of a sudden now, being able to be more efficient at getting frags in certain situations can be super important. So I'm hoping we see a lot of impact here. But one thing I noticed right off the bat on this champion select, a distinct lack of big champions. Those big body, beefy, the Sorlag, the Clutch, the Scale Bearer. Normally we saw at least one of those per team in the qualification stages, at least for Europe. Where, if you haven't watched the stream as of late, we actually haven't really seen these teams for a couple of weeks because they qualified in week 1 and 2. So there's been quite a break in between. So I have no doubt the compositions they're going with have changed between then and now. But this is an interesting one to start off with, I think.
There's also the major element that this is, I mean, we can't beat around the bush here. It's $1 million series. Many of these players have been keeping their gameplay very, very close to their chest, but we have begun. It's going to be Rush B on blue. And already the frags come in, and they will be rapid and plentiful.
Already though, at 20 seconds, the first soul is going to be spawning. So dying close to 20-second mark is when it gets a little bit dangerous. You can see that little yellow marker at the bottom. That is where the soul is going to spawn, and already it has been secured.
Now, this is the very important point where you have the option to choose exactly what obelisk you want to drop it off at. And it looks like Memphis going towards obelisk B, but there are people lying in wait. Doesn't matter though, even though he may go down here, the important thing is that he's been able to secure the obelisk that his team wanted.
But his team actually instantly being able to catch up to him and defend this. So you can see that percentage is ticking up. As soon as it gets to 100, the round will be over. And already getting 10%. 10% of the work is already done.
Here we go. This is the extra element where once you've got the obelisk taken, you need to be holding it as long as possible. It takes a grand total of 2 minutes 30 from start to finish in total time for an obelisk. And that's not a lot of time when you take into fact how fast Quake is.
So it looks like the defendants have managed to steal the soul away right now, but can they safely get it to obelisk A? That's going to be the difficult thing, is once you have put points into an obelisk, that is designated for yours for the rest of the round. So right now the defendants, even if they wanted B, have no choice but to go for A now. And there we go, a gauntlet kill coming out from Hal.
Now that may have seemed like VM in some ways to those that don't watch Sacrifice, but gauntlet kills, it's one of the most valuable
weapons. See a lot of gauntlet kills in this mode, because just look at how close and frantic some of these engagements can be. But right now, obviously we see Rush B are trying to defend B. It's quite appropriate.
We saw right there the Blazkowicz in big trouble, opted not to go for dual wheel before he spawned because it's quite a chunky cooldown. You definitely want to have it on respawn rather than the last minute and waste that 50 seconds.
Now Rush B have managed to secure the obelisk once again, and we can see 25% almost. Only just got taken away, but defendants, can Krysa get some points down onto A? It's going to be crucial for him to at least try and even things out a bit. 24% might seem like a chunky lead, but that's not a long time. Right, they're sort of contesting for this power-up.
Yeah, and the power-up is going to be quad damage, which means that whoever takes quad, yes, you're going to be doing massive damage, but you do become public enemy #1. So your team kind of needs to be with you there to keep you healthy. Too Good tries to get out there, gets fragged as well. Power-up goes into the hand of, we'll find out very, very soon. Memphis currently has access to it, and the soul in hand, and an injection. It's going to be hard to stop him.
Indeed, Memphis is going to be the one to take down now as he safely secures it. The Ghost Walk comes out, so he's able to secure that frag. He is now surrounded by enemies. A quad damage gauntlet, all shredding up with the rocket follow-up too. That's a quick double kill as we try and defend this B from Rush B, and now they have themselves a chunky 35% to the 7% on the side of defendants.
A quad damage gauntlet, poor Nyx. It takes out a couple. Actually making that 3, and rockets on the obelisk location, definitely one of the most important weapons to just pepper damage left, right and center, making nowhere safe to hold.
Injection coming out from Krysa to keep himself alive, but he is hanging around. Defendants now have some people here trying to defend. Rush B really trying to hold this obelisk, lightning guns all over the place. And Deus is going to get a quick kill, as is Memphis. Too Good getting 1-2. Deus another one, frags all over the place.
Have been able to secure that soul. This is going to be very important for them. Rush B comfortably sitting on 54%, but all you got to do really is hold the obelisk for a small amount of time and the percentage will rack up.
Well, it's 2 seconds. 2 seconds to 1%. So if you can sort of just do the maths on the spot, that's not a huge amount of time, but the question is, can you do that whilst being surrounded by enemies, while you're thinking about what weapons can we control, what power-ups do we control? And at the moment, it looks like defendants are positioned very well to hold onto the obelisk for a little while longer. Krysa has the injection pop, so he's going to have that little bit of sustain in the fight should it start soon. Let's take people. Yeah, looks like Rush B are coming in from the side of the rocket.
Now, how they choose to attack the Obelisk, we haven't seen how Rush B have actually tried to seize an Obelisk just yet. But before we continue, 10 seconds away, the power-up's going to spawn, so we're going to see the next fight take place. You can already see the members of Rush B trying to sort of gravitate towards the power-up. The question is, what power-up is it going to be?
The power-up really
quad
is...
damage.
Yeah, quad damage once again. And the power-up really is where the pace will just shift dramatically. Because if you are just finding it so hard to break into a point to get that soul back, going for the power-up and securing that for your team can be the difference of being able to safely get it. But the problem is if you then lose the power-up to the team that is then defending at the time, I mean, just look at this, 48% to Defendants. They have almost managed to even things up in a single capture.
Trying to bring it back, but being able to throw the soul, very, very valuable asset, but... And actually, look, they haven't really been defending it for a huge amount of time, but they've already made it 54 to 54. Here's an extra element. We are seeing the spawning shotgun way more frequently in Sacrifice because you're point blank so often and you die so much. In many ways, the starting shotgun is the most dangerous weapon you can take of the three. So many gauntlets!
Havoc gets 2 gauntlet kills trying to defend, but is just simply too outnumbered. Was able to drop the soul off onto the Obelisk, but looks like the Defendants are here in force. 3 of them here trying to get this soul back. But Sever's here once again and not let them get away, but the question is, can he actually stop them?
No, it's very common that we see when someone's about to get fragged, they'll throw the soul in the opposite direction to just make the team have to do more work. But if there is an enemy lying in wait, they'll just pick up the soul and bring it back regardless of what happens. Defendants pick up a very respectable amount of frags, but Rush B actually still managing to defend the soul. Tuga tries to throw it away, does manage to get it over the barrier there. Avec with the delivery.
Oh, was he able to drop it off in time? I don't think he quite got in the radius, did he?
We'll see what happens.
It looks like he did.
They got it. There we go, 68 versus 63. This is a unbelievably close round. Memphis with the pickup, and he's got the injection. Also, because we've gone over the 5-minute mark, because we've gone over the 5-minute mark and the injections have all been used, both Anarchies now have over 81 HP. The injection puts you 1 HP over your maximum health. They've used it enough times now. They can tank 2 rails without needing armor. Very important for a Soul Runner.
That really is where an already quite difficult champion to deal with becomes all that harder.
2 seconds, power up, any minute. Going in for the dire orb, he's been able to secure it, but unfortunately, in some ways, it was quad damage, so he would have been easier to frag. But his team are there to protect him. Goes down anyway, but the fight begins for quad.
Wow! Krysa with 4 frags with a super nail gun, putting in all that work. And he was able to drop off the soul too. That was a wonderful sequence for Krysa.
So that percentage, all they need now is 18% in this round will be over, and the fact that the Defendants have the power-up at this stage, the defending team that is about to win, having the power-up is very, very hard to deal with. It's still there for quite a while. The super nails don't land, but it is going to do a good job of sort of denying that front area. So How trying to take a detour, Avec cleans him up and delivers it back, and not without getting a frag himself.
10% left to go on the side of Defendants for this round 1. They're looking strong at the moment. They managed to secure the mega health. It is being contested, but it looks like there are so many of the Defendants here ready to defend. And Inns is unfortunately going to drop 2 as well. They're sort of scattered in, coming in 1 or a pair at a time, but Defendants are just where they need to be, and that's going to be a strong round 1 and a nice comeback from Defendants.
Absolutely. They didn't have an amazing start, but if you are able to defend your own Obelisk efficiently, the second you get that one delivery, the ball goes in the opponent's court, right? So we saw that they were able to take the soul neutrally. Rush B were able to deliver it towards B and defend it quite well. But when it came to them having to attack a point, that's when I think the struggles started to come through. They weren't as coordinated on the offense. They trickled in a little bit one at a time. And because of the distinct lack of beef, these rockets will delete you in 1 or 2 shots easily.
Especially early on, like you said, now we're going into a second round. The Anarchy health, I believe, is going to be resetting now, so they're going to have to try and take themselves back up again. Inns, unfortunately, stuck between a rocket and a hard place and goes down immediately.
Now the Defendants with that soul, they now have the option to deliver. Looks like the delivery will be at Obelisk B. There we go.
Now, actually, something here. The Defendants, they were able to choose the Obelisk this time. Last round, they were left with Obelisk A. Now they immediately chose to go to B. So whether this is the one they might prefer out of the 2, we're able to take round 1 on the other one regardless.
Shotguns are going to be such a crucial element, both the starting shotgun and the super shotgun respectively. You are so close at all times. The damage output of the shotguns can in some ways be uncontested, especially if you don't have a rocket launcher.
Well, as of a few patches ago, the standard shotgun did get a bit of a damage buff, so it's a little bit more reliable now and is being put to good use for sure.
Yeah, I believe the regular shotgun does 4 damage per pellet rather than 3. May not sound like much, but in the grand scheme of things, just how many shotgun blasts go through, very important indeed.
Defendants already able to get almost 30% immediately and counting. They're able to secure it and put it straight back on thanks to a nice sequence from Avec.
Well, Rush B had a fantastic start because they were able to control where they delivered the Soul. But because Defendants have had a good start, the issue Rush B have had is actually getting the offense, coordinating and taking the Soul from the base. Now they haven't even had the chance to deliver it first. They're seemingly having a much harder time here.
One thing I'm actually really enjoying about this so far is when you watch the duel and you see the focus on the rocket, the rail, the lightning gun as like the real core three, whilst that is still here to a degree, we're seeing so much use of the other weapons right now. We're seeing so many nail kills, loads of shotgun usage, and it's all working out for them.
That's definitely because there's an extra 6 heads on the map and not as many weapons to go around. You factor in when you're in duel,
you do the best with what you can find, and it's going to be quad damage again. Yet to see protection in this game.
Yeah, it's been quad every single time. And actually with teams like this, where there really is not a single chunky champion on the side of there, going in with the gauntlet, Memphis. Dude, now he's delivered it. How long can they hold it? Well, maybe not long with having that quad damage. He's only got an SMG, but even an SMG is going to be dangerous. Now he's got a rail, which makes it worse. 320 damage per quad damage rail is going to delete any one of these champions.
Tuga was able to run in and get hold of the quad damage as well, just to get the Soul back, and now he has everything he needs, but only has a railgun.
And there was actually no one on the jump pad to contest. They've just met them in the middle, but they've made that complete 3-man attack. They're trying to close in on Too Good. Sev manages to take him out and takes the quad damage because of it, trying to deliver the Soul backwards towards Obelisk A. The quad's going to run out, but Nyx with the Ghost Walk can still survive. She has to deliver it first!
But there you can see the Defendants, they all died at their own Obelisk, but they respawned in between the two Obelisks. So when they respawned, they were able to quickly reposition themselves to try and stop Rush B from getting back here. And we can see they're already hit and forced 3 to the right-hand side and one in the middle trying to contest this. And they're getting frags all over the place. They're going to be taking this Soul back quite easily. Oh, but no! Sev says no with the gauntlet.
Stay put, my friend, and again, just completely getting surrounded. And these obelisks are a very common thing that we see very often. And many of them just had, again, the starter shotgun. But if they've all got it, that is so much damage.
So a little bit of an awkward situation there, but that's one thing we'll be seeing a lot is passing that Soul. If you have hold of the Soul and you know you're probably going to be dying any second, just throw it as far away as possible from your opponent's obelisk to make them just have to work that little bit harder to get it back. This micromanagement is crucial.
How is the lone defender here, though, with very little health and armor? Goes in for the dual wield, unfortunately cannot survive long enough, so that's going to be a long cooldown, quite a while before he has his dual wield again.
Choosing when to activate those abilities in Sacrifice can be quite difficult at times. Even trying to manage that cooldown, you need to make sure you have it when you're trying to seize an objective, but at the same time, do you use it to survive in between?
Protection, here we go.
Oh, now, but it's protection on Anarchy, uh-oh.
Protection on Anarchy, who is currently on the obelisk. If he can get this Soul, he's now going to be able to run this back. Rocket jump to take minimal damage. Here we go, there really isn't much they can do to stop him. He uses the injection to become nice and healthy. The speed boost, letting him deliver it easily as well. And I mean, that's what happens when Anarchy, normally so easy to frag. He's got the protection, and he is still a one-man army, still alive, even with 33 health.
Oh, but that 25 armor is going to be doing wonders. Is he going to be able to survive this? Still so low.
Oh.
Gets the frag. Protection. Unkillable.
And that one good rampage with the protection has put them in the lead. I guess the question is for how long. They are being completely surrounded here. Krysa picks up the Soul. He also has the injection, but using the gauntlet on the teleporter just in case an enemy's going to be lying in wait. These little decisions are going to be super important. But
oh, loses the 1v1. Unfortunately, to ends though. Avec here looking to clean up. Defendants have themselves positioned nicely. Too Good getting some frags in the corner as well, but so much death all over the place, and Defendants able to seize a 6% lead and counting.
That's only going to build up bit by bit. Now they only have 30% left, and if they can hold it, I mean, that's going to be no time at all.
Oh wow, instant frag. 2 rockets more than enough to take down, unfortunate Blaskovic.
The danger is that at this percentage, every respawn counts. Like, you can't afford to be out of action for the smallest possible second when all they have to do is get 18%, and it's still climbing, still uncontested. There's a Ghost Walking Nyx lying in wait behind. She has used up the Ghost Walk, so she's not going to be able to use that to survive, but you're not going to be surviving much in Sacrifice anyway.
Now this is going to be an awkward exchange here. Defendants have 10% left to go, but we can see the power-ups can be spawning in 20. If Rush B can at least stop them capturing for just a few seconds, they might be able to contend for the power-up. But at this rate, I don't even think the power-up is going to be able to spawn in time. Defendants, have they taken the map?
Very likely. 1% more and it's going to be game over. Trying to push this. They can't die at any point, but unfortunately, they do. Defendants take both rounds. I think the second round was definitely in the favor of Defendants from start to finish. We saw a little bit of percentage halfway through, but it just wasn't enough.
I mean, Rushby were looking good when they had access to the power-up and they were able to really get it on the right champion and make the most out of it. They did well, but ultimately I think it was just the Defendants. They just played it a little bit smarter as a team. I think the most important thing they had was they were able to hold onto the Soul a little bit better. Because in the first round of that, we saw Rushby were able to take quite a nice lead early on, but right as the Defendants were able to secure it themselves, they just held onto the Soul a little bit more stable.
That's really what it comes down to. It's definitely not just a game of taking a point. You really need to be good at defending your own, because it's the defending that's going to win you the round, and that's what you need to be super efficient at. So when the situation is not in your favor and it's like, right guys, we need to work together here, we need to push this point, we need to make sure that not only are we able to stand on the obelisk long enough to take the Soul, but that we can get out alive. And that's a humongous element where it's only half the attack taking the Soul. You still need to be able to safely deliver it. And even though you frag people on the point, they're going to be respawning and they're going to be trying to hedge you off. So you need to make the most out of the life you have, because once you go down, that push is pretty much over.
Indeed, but that's Ruins of Sarnath now off the board immediately. Ruins of Sarnath being quite a popular map, I think. We saw it a lot during the first couple of weeks, but that does leave us with just 3 left to go in Blood Covenant, Burial Chamber, and Lockbox. I do believe Burial Chamber will be where we're heading to for map number 2.
That's the first time I've seen those Burial Chamber effects as well. They look pretty swish.
It does. I mean, that logo above the barrier, that's probably the best logo to background combination we've seen on that stage so far.
What, because of Quake?
I mean, it just looks sick. I mean, do I need to say much more about that?
Definitely not, but Burial Chamber, another sacrifice-specific map within the Quake World Championship. I know it's on free-for-alls and team deathmatch, but when it comes
within
to
Duel and Sacrifice, it's just Sacrifice is Burial Chamber, and for good reason. You know, it's quite a large map. There's a lot of space. It's quite exciting to watch, in my opinion. A Burial Chamber. There's a lot of space around. It means you have a lot of options where to go. You can sort of go around the outside where it's very spacious but quite easy to maneuver. You can go sort of through the catacombs underneath, maybe the buildings to the side. But the two obelisks themselves are so dramatically different between each other. You have kind of like the cathedral and the caves, and we see teams dramatically favor one or the other, but can be good at both.
I think this is one of the most unique things about Burial Chamber, in that it's the vast difference within the two obelisks. As you just mentioned, there's the cathedral, which in many ways we see a lot of teams, or we did in week number 2, and that's the one thing to remember, is that there's been a significant amount of time, so we don't really know some of these strats the teams are going to be adapting here. But the cathedral location for the obelisk has been by far a location that everyone wants to hold because of the walls and the distance that you have, that you can really hold that location and just create that bottleneck in the middle. But
so it looks like
you don't have the same luxury of that.
It actually looks like we're on the route of maybe seeing the exact same composition back to back. So do you think both this is a situation of two teams that seem to favor those smaller champions now?
Well, smaller champions on Burial Chamber, it's going to be, you've got a lot of room to move. And if you're a small champion with good speed, your mobility makes it easier for you to not only deliver the Soul or protect your team that is delivering the Soul, but chase down people that have the important objectives. If you have a power-up on this map, like quad damage, for example, you're already going to be quite hard to hit. Again, especially if you're someone like an Anarchy, of which on this map, Anarchy can fly around pretty much willy-nilly.
But this is actually a map where the railgun is particularly prominent, I think. We see a lot of rail usage here. There's a lot of open spaces, a lot of sort of long sight lines, corridors, being outside and what have you. But if you can be good with that rail on this map, it can be a bit of a game changer. But all of a sudden, when every champion in the game is tiny, all of a sudden it becomes a little bit harder to land those consistently.
So here we go, Burial Chamber. The Soul location is going to be smack bang in the middle, which is going to be the most dangerous location. In's going in for that immediate dual wield. Blaskovic, one of the only champions in the game that is still lethal on spawn, because a dual wielding SMG will still melt health.
Now a few seconds away from the spawn, respawning. It looks like Brushby were able to hold on to it, but he's going to swiftly go down to Deus.
Right now, Defendants have the Soul. How long? That's the question, with how many teammates of both teams are just swarming in. Memphis scores a couple, but Avec with the cleanup. How currently has the Soul. Opts to throw it away before he goes down. Very popular, but Seb trying to deliver. Unfortunately, because he goes down, all he's really done is make Defendants' life easier, and they now have Obelisk A. This is a dangerous Obelisk to try and take.
But that's a bit of an awkward situation to be in there. If both teams kind of want to start with the same Obelisk and they're actively running towards it, if you die, right before capturing the obelisk you want, and your team and your enemy team picks it up, you basically just give them the obelisk and do the work of getting it to the obelisk for them, which is hard to avoid in a lot of situations if you really just want that obelisk.
Memphis trying to stay slippery, staying alive, can't quite deliver it. That's so unfortunate. He did all that work, but at the last possible minute, Krysa lying in wait. But he gets taken out himself.
But that was another situation where he knew he was going to die. Too Good has a hold of the soul, throws it away again, knowing he's going to be going down, and tries to throw the soul as far away as possible. rushb able to secure it, but are they safe? He's going to be able to get back. He has no health left, and he's going to get taken down by Avec.
And right before he's about to throw the soul towards Zone Obelisk, just goes down regardless, so it's going to be on his location, making it way easier for Deus to try and pick it up. Tries to almost fumbles the toss a little bit in Tazik, the dual wield.
Oh wow, instant meltdown coming down. Krysa falls immediately to that double LG. And again, Defendants are here to stop him. This is that exchange. We see this all the time on Burial Chamber. It's so hard to get out of this middle situation. Only 12% progress made, but so many frags.
Well, dealing with a team that has the soul currently, they're trying to deliver it, it's not really a matter of trying to chase them. It's actually beating them to where they want to be. But here we go. The first power-up spawns. Krysa picks up the protection. And those two health pickups with protection in hand is all you need, really, to be a massive headache throughout the entire duration of protection.
While Defendants were busy trying to secure the protection, though, we saw Memphis was able to sneak in and get hold of the soul. Almost jumps off the map, has to double back quite far to try and get back up again.
If that was any other champion, he would have got
taken out.
And that was just a very unfortunate exchange. Just kind of hit the handlebars, really, and it just falls down.
Yeah, unfortunately, Memphis there seemed to hesitate. It looked like he was sort of trying to go towards the outside teleport,
it may look like the soul is stuck, but it will be respawning. If it gets in a situation where it's technically out of bounds as such, it respawns in the middle, and there we go. It does just that. Defendants managed to take it back. A couple of teammates for rushb lying in wait. Krysa, though, quite healthy, but not healthy enough for a super shotgun.
Oh, wow. And as soon as the protection is not there anymore, Memphis does fall down. Deus here trying to secure this soul, at the very least, going to start adding up some of this progress again. Only 20% done.
It's not been a lot. They've done a good job. rushb have done a good job of being able to, at the very least, prevent the percentage from climbing. The issue they've had is that they've just not been able to get percentage of their own yet.
Yeah, we've actually seen some teams almost use the out-of-bounds sort of like respawn of the soul to their advantage. If it's nowhere near their team, they'll just sort of throw it off the edge and let it respawn a little bit closer. Don't see it often, but we have seen it a few, and it's usually on Burial Chamber.
Now there's the delivery. That's a really nice little 180 rail on Avec also, but they've now got some percentage, and you said it yourself, Defendants haven't actually been able to get much percentage in this round, so all rushb need to do is hold it for about a minute or so, and they're actually going to be in the lead. But I spoke too soon.
Yeah, a couple of them were able to immediately take it away. Too Good and Avec pairing together, sort of going for that sort of 2v2 almost in that situation. And Defendants sort of trying to safely get this back, but we can see rushb are sort of positioning themselves to try and stop them.
Now actually, wow, that rail did Krysa a massive favor because he survived the shot, but it gave him a humongous boost of speed that allowed him to safely deliver. Here comes the power up again. Memphis with the protection, Anarchy with protection. It seems to be only Anarchy with protection this entire series.
Yeah, Memphis has been able to get himself both power-ups so far, using the railgun point blank. He's going to be able to safely use it really to its full advantage unless he can land these shots. Deus falls down, still getting shot down, has protection, but 1 HP, still 1 hit away from death.
And he actually opted to go for the suicide, very tactical suicide, delivering the protection towards Int instead, who now has protection and a dual wield.
That was very smart. Taking that guaranteed death just to make sure his teammate was able to pick it up again.
And not the enemy. That's the important one. Make sure that your team still controls the power-up because it is such a game changer. Now they need to make safe passage, but with 3 health, that's going to be easier said than done.
Oh man, that's 2 for 2 now that rushb have able to get hold of the power-up, but haven't really been able to get a considerable amount of progress considering it.
If they were able to hold the power up, but not much progress was made while they had the percentage lead, it wouldn't be so bad. But because Defendants are so far ahead, they are remaining behind, and the situation is never going in their favor.
Memphis really has kind of been the MVP here of trying to just seize in and is doing a good job of just assaulting this point. Defendants aren't really sitting on the obelisk to defend. They're sort of sitting themselves outside, trying to just stop rushb from getting anywhere in it. But Memphis able to thread the needle and just take the long route and get through. That's a lot of frags coming out. rushb might be able to hold on and start this defense off that sequence of frags.
What about three of the Defendants all sort of died at the same time? So the time it's going to take for them to respawn and then make their way back to this obelisk, it's all going to be guaranteed percentage that Defendants can't really contest. But with 56 versus 24%, rushb still have a lot of work to do, and this is another danger of this location compared to Obelisk A. Oh wow. This sort of cave location, you are so much more vulnerable to rails. and the opponent will be spawning on the side of the rails as well.
But it also means that if you, as the defending team, can have access to the rails before you capture it, you then have that clear line of sight to stop them from coming in. Looks like we're getting a lot of shots now. That's a really good sequence of rails coming through from Ince.
I really like Ince's actually placement right there, where he was opting to try and defend and protect the rail location just so they can't get it.
No, though, Rush B seemed to abandon the obelisk to try and secure the power-up. And now, I believe they got the power-up, but they lost the soul in the process, and now Defendants are able to cleanly get it back.
Well, just because of that, Defendants now with the soul back in their location. Actually, I did notice a protection Nyx on the right-hand side. Too good with the double.
That's Memphis here trying to take the soul again, but he is by himself. Is able to hold off for quite a while, but he is getting flanked around. Enemies on both ends.
This has been quite a running theme for Memphis, where he's actually really good at going into the base and trying to sort of harass and take the soul himself, but he's consistently doing just that. He's running in by himself. There's very minimal support there, but a big part of that also is just Defendants holding the point effectively. They do let Memphis in, but they don't let anyone else in to help him out.
He might get in, but he never gets out. They are taking him down. Defendants now with 85%, almost approaching 15% left to go. Almost 7 minutes into this round. This has been quite a long fought one, but Defendants doing exactly what it says. They are defending perfectly.
That's going to be how you take it, passing it on, trying to deliver, but Memphis goes down. Hal still alive, and he can definitely tank at least one rail. Maybe not anymore now, he's taking some of that free damage, but the important thing is that he's still got the soul in hand. Even if you're not delivering the soul, you're making sure the enemy team doesn't gain percentage. But he's getting chased down by an injection. Anarchy, too good to follow through. Krysa takes it back. And now with that injection, the speed boost in combination with the max health, this is going to be a pretty safe delivery. And especially now a rail just failed to connect.
Krysa's movement has just been so crisp when he has that soul trying to get it back to his cathedral. I think he has actually been the one to do so the most at the moment. Just uninterrupted, just gets it, uses that injection, and just navigates the map perfectly.
There are so many frags. You spectate one, you spectate another. Everyone is dead. And because of that, Defendants with that first round. It was a little bit harder fought, but ultimately, Defendants still looking extremely dominant. And a big part of that was also the obelisk they chose.
3 rounds in a row, too. I think it's going to be important for Rush B to make sure that they don't let Defendants get the cathedral again. Because they just didn't quite look as comfortable defending the caves as the cathedral. And that's actually the one that we saw Rush B go towards. They just died just seconds before dropping it off.
But with that in mind, the pace of this entire round will be set by this first soul drop. And it's because you can choose either way. We're going to find out if Defendants get the soul, if Defendants can deliver the soul. If I was Rush B, I would be very concerned.
There's actually able to drop it back up again, throws it away.
Oh.
Sev is there with the rocket trying to stop him. But it looks like Defendants Krysa got the MVP here, managing to secure the cathedral 2 rounds in a row. Now Rush B are going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and 5% already. I mean, no time at all. They're almost already at 10% on this obelisk. And at this stage, Rush B are in trouble, using the dire to try and get in uncontested, which in some ways is a good idea because you take so much damage trying to get in. Hal goes down.
A single nail did it. He must have been very close to death.
A couple of members of Rush B trying to go in, but with that injection still good. Anarchy will remain a headache for now, but look how many members of Rush B, they've actually gone in for a big coordinated push. This is the kind of push they've needed for the entire match.
This is one of the first times we've seen them go in as a team, and they were able to uncontested get hold of the soul. And there we go, Memphis! As soon as he had teammates backing him up, was able to secure the soul, but Washi Defendants already with a 20%.
But in some ways though, Memphis was going so fast, it was not physically possible for the rest of his team to keep up with him. So he just went headfirst into like 3 members of Defendants lying in wait. And because of it, they just fragged him, and now they've got it. Ince trying to deliver it back, but once more, surrounded by members of Defendants.
That also means that Ince is going to have that dual wheel back up for quite a long time. That has quite a hefty cooldown to it. He's trying to desperately get the soul away, but too good. Once again, Defendants doing an amazing job just holding off this soul and getting it back where it belongs.
Now they've got it towards A once more. So much damage coming out.
Interesting exchange.
Power-up's going to spawn in 4 seconds. You can notice the fight's starting to take place towards the middle of the map. It's going to be, let's see, protection.
Memphis able to secure it. I mean, Memphis, that's what you expect to see. Both teams' Anarchies are really just designated to that role. It is their job to get that soul to run it back.
What makes me worried is, yes, they have the soul, but who has protection?
I guess we'll be able to see as soon as we see some fighting going on. Yeah, it looks like Defendants have it. So Krysa, oh no, it's going to be on the Anarchy having the protection. If he can get the soul, he's going to be almost impossible to intercept. Yeah, he's got the speed boost as well. This is going to be incredibly difficult for them to stop him.
Protection plus instant health plus massive speed, plus anarchy is very scary to try and stop. Memphis shutting him down with an immediate rocket though.
A much better round though for Rush B, able to bring it to 26-20. They almost evened things out beforehand. Memphis going to try and put this one back up again. Oh, going to drop it off, but already Defendants are here to stop him. They are ready for this defense.
A huge part of defense. I mentioned it earlier, it's not going to be just chasing them, it's heading them off, beating them to their own location in more numbers. You know, strength in numbers is so prominent in Sacrifice. Too good with the soul in hand, looking to defend it back. Look at the percentage difference though, not a huge amount. 2% separating the two teams. That will obviously change if they can deliver it, but the longer it goes back and forth, in many ways, the better it's going to be for Rush B, because if they can get a percentage lead, it will be the first time they've had a percentage lead on this map.
Already it looks like Krysa is there trying to stop past the LG, but it gets taken down by a direct rocket, and here we go. 2 members of Rush B, we're here to defend this time. Secure it down, and Deus is going to take him, but there we go. Nice return. Looks like a telefrag happened.
Actually,
in the
I was just about to say, yeah, Too Good just got telefragged, but have no idea where it was, but it was on the kill feed.
Rush B now in the lead for the first time in the round. This is going to be so good for them. Defenders, we can see 3 of them here trying to aggress.
And here comes Hal from behind, and they haven't seen him. He's got a rocket launcher, manages to take out Avec. And is that going to be enough to defend? Hal gets another one. Deus goes down.
Oh, and there's that final trade, but Rush B are still holding it.
Yep.
So even though they completely traded in a team kill for team kill, Rush B was still bringing that percentage up.
That was a fantastic trade for them. And again, it's going to be protection, but the protection already goes down. Trading back and forth, getting a last-minute gauntlet kill just for good measure. Hal with the protection again, but he's so weak. 21 health, make that 50. That's going to be enough.
That was crazy. That was two individual people with the protection both died. So 3 people have had the protection already, but all 3 members that have picked it up were all on Rush B. They've actually managed to control this power-up super good.
Deus actually slipping away underneath, having a dual wield just in case he bumped into somebody in that hallway of which they would have been able to escape. But look at how many members of Rush B waited for him.
Instant kill. No chance to survive 3 people at the same time.
That was actually really smart. Avec went for the prediction rocket because he expected the soul, but the soul drop off into an immediate stop just to dupe that one individual rocket.
Deus was there ready to pick up the soul. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, Memphis has it too.
Yeah.
Trying to circle around. Oh, the gauntlet. Oh, he survived it.
Yeah, had just enough health. That would have been a fantastic assassination if he was weak enough for the gauntlet to kill. But speaking of kills, how many of these have taken place towards this obelisk again? And the rail, the dangerous element here when you're trying to defend this obelisk. You are so vulnerable to rails from massive distances.
Indeed, Defendants trying desperately try and bring this soul back, but Rush B now have a significant lead, 64% to the 26. Defendants, though, looking really strong early on, but now have a little bit of work to do to even things out.
They definitely have the round advantage, though. I mean, in many ways, they can afford to lose this round, but I guarantee no one wants that. On the Defendants side, of course.
Avec, is he able to sneak himself through? They are here trying to stop him. Can he actually touch the obelisk? He can. He does immediately, but he was able to at least stall for a few seconds.
Yeah, losing one enemy on that, losing one teammate on that location is going to be massive for you, because it means you now have to try and deliver it safely by yourself. Walking straight into 2 goods rockets and Avec also. That was not a door that you wanted to go through. Avec with the cleanup. Too Good with the soul, trying to deliver it back.
Oh, can he get away? He's taking a lot of damage. It looks like he might be able to drop off. Yes, he can. But the power-up goes the way, it's the protection again, and goes the way of Rush B.
Now, Nyx with protection is even more annoying, because she's hard enough to hit as is, and now when she's almost dead, she can pop the invisibility and invulnerability. And using a defensive Nyx, safely trying to help out the teammates, trying to sort of stay with them, she's going to be impossible to kill.
One big thing we saw early, though, was these rails to sort of intercept them on the way. We're not seeing as much of that in this round. Just to get that instant damage to just stop that soul carrier from being able to safely drop it off. Now Rush B have a significant lead. They have the protection and they have the soul.
The important thing for Rush B also is that they're defending really well on an obelisk that they lost convincingly in the last round. This is just going to be good data for them. Just reminding them that yes, they can indeed Memphis with 3 rockets. But it's just really important for them to know that they can indeed hold this obelisk. It's not going to be a wash.
It's also a good adjustment that we saw, you know, almost a guaranteed loss last time, and they just couldn't defend it as well, but this time it's the complete opposite, and they actually have almost managed to completely take the round in total.
That was disgusting telefrag. He did go down, but that was unbelievable regardless. There's the injection. Very common that we see players, because the one thing that many people may not know is that the soul drop is also the same as your ability. You cannot use your ability while you're holding the soul. So if you've got mobility, you tend to use the ability and then collect the soul.
Rush B are now consistently beating Defendants to their own obelisk, though. As soon as Defendants hold onto the soul, Rush B, they just get there straight away, and as a team, playing a lot better in this round because of it.
I wish they were holding the other obelisk so I could indeed say they were, in fact, rushing B.
Oh, trying to intercept. Can he touch the obelisk? He can.
He threads the needle right there too. Like, he dodged every single super nail.
But now it looks like the Defendants are actually here, able to defend the point now. They actually are here in numbers as opposed to just 1 or 2. The dual wield just popped, but he still goes down, and the injection in retaliation to Memphis is now back to full health straight away.
It's always really unfortunate if Blaskovic dies with dual wield without even getting a single frag, because it has such a long cooldown. That sounded like a quad damage to me.
That quad damage was being primarily controlled by Defendants in the first map. So
oh, that was definitely a quad. That sounded like a quad. That is definitely a quad lightning gun.
Oh, and he has the mega health too. Instant LG coming down, immediately just melting player after player.
And it's Avec with a quad damage lightning gun, but he gets fragged by Int. But the thing is, he got fragged at the last minute when the quad was just about to run out. At that point, the damage had already been done.
Oh, and ends with that quad railgun comes through, but dies immediately. And trading, this happens all the time with quad. It becomes a complete scramble for quad to quad to quad to quad to quad. Because you're just trying to desperately stop the enemy team from getting it, and then when it's dropped, you want to secure it, but then you die, and the cycle continues.
If you collect quad, you are going to die, and it is unpreventable.
It's just a question of how much damage can you do before that happens.
Trying to sort of take it back, but look at how many members of the Defenders are just controlling that high ground. But on the flip side, look at how many members of Rush B were in there. Are they able to escape? Inns tries to get out of there, but he himself unbelievably weak.
But able to throw the soul quite a distance away and doing some of that work. And Seven, just passing it person to person.
That was a fantastic pot. That was an absolutely fantastic toss. But he's getting chased down, and he's by himself. There really wasn't much he could do to survive that. Krysa with the run on the outside, going towards rail. Taking minimal damage. Still over 100
HP.
HP.
Into the cathedral, but he has plenty of health left. A nice return frag with a super shock, and his entire team is here trying to escort him back to this obelisk. Now, if Defendants can keep this control for the next 30%, they will be able to take this map and take the series. But Rush B have been looking so good this round.
This is going to be a very heartbreaking loss for Rush B if they don't get this round, because they've done so much work. They've defended the obelisk for so long, but the Defendants on the verge of a comeback in the last possible second. 3 frags might do just that.
This is a good sequence to start things off. All of Defendants are going to respawn closer to the other obelisk though, so they will be in position to defend. Here's how can they do it?
Here is the decision. Do you prioritize? Do you prioritize trying to stop them taking the soul, or do you focus on the power-up? It looks like Defendants have opted to go for the power-up, and it now make it very difficult for Rush B to try and safely deliver this. With a power-up wielding Defendants, all of them in force and with the protection.
And again, it's gone to Anarchy. Defendants have just let Anarchy pick this up every single time they've been able to control it. We have a 10-minute round and going. This is going down to the wire.
There's still a significant amount of protection left too. But that was the call that Defendants made. They went, guys, let them take the soul. We're going to completely gravitate towards the power-up. If it's protection, we can easily deliver it. We can bring it back, and we can hold off with the rest of the power-up. Because of that, they've now taken the lead. 9%, and they're going to win this entire series.
Oh, Howl drops! Defendants, have they made the comeback? All these frags are going in the favor of Defendants. 5% left to go. Are Rush B able to get here in time?
I'm inclined to think so. Sev goes down as well, and with how many members of Defendants are there to defend, there was very little Rush B could do in that last moment. It was a valiant attempt, but it again wasn't enough to stop the dangerous force of Defendants.
I think Rush B would have been a lot better. If every round could have gone down like that, Rush B would have been a lot more better off. Because I think they eventually started to find their groove as to what they wanted to do. It just took them a little bit too long to do so.
Somewhat of a slow start, I suppose.
Well, they are still very much in this, though. So it's not like they are out completely. We have a double elimination bracket today. So they will get another chance in losers. Obviously, that now means your safety net is gone. I suppose that's safety, right? Just knowing that you have that to fall back on. That is now gone. Now they're going to be in losers bracket, but obviously props to Defendants for playing out of their minds already in this early morning start for most of them, I assure.
I mean, a lot of us in this building are not 7 AM people, least of all the players that have been grinding as much as possible. So the fact that people are able to play on top form this early on is, in many ways, an underrated thing to really appreciate, I think.
Well, we have to keep in mind that a lot of these guys are not new to LANs. I think the majority of our players here actually have quite a lot of LAN experience, but it has been a long time since this kind of environment has been something they've played in for a lot of these guys.
So, what did we really see within that match? A big part of it just came down to...
The most biggest surprise was the champion lineup.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just about to touch on that really, in that we saw so many frags left, right, and center, and things like Gauntlet, things like Super Shotgun,